Shouldn't be neat. To what? Yeah. That's because we suggested they would want it.
Well, not originally. We did, but she started planning. She was asking. Then we suggested.
No, we suggested because my shift's changed at work. They went to the evening ones. I don't know then. Yeah. Oh, that's rubbish. On the backs with slippers there. These are the ones there. Yeah, we've done it. It's just a typical Beth trying to create a problem out of nothing. Just typical Beth. Right. Fuck it. The slippers are too small. Get me fucking slipper socks on. Watch the curbs tonight. Change tyres in race 2. You listening?
Yes, sorry.
You bats over some of these curves. Gives you a slow puncher.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It might be worth as well. Try and brake pads 2. Sorry, not brake pads 2. Ducks on front and rear.
Okay.
Because it's just cold.
Yeah.
Right. We need to come off soon to go in the bath. Not just yet, a little later. Fuck's sake. Fuck's sake. Oh god, I nearly fell down the stairs now. This is going well. Didn't half fuckers around that monkey.
Who's that?
The hospital.
Why?
Fucking. So he's going in Sunday morning at 8 to be induced, yeah?
Yeah.
Because it's gestational diabetes.
Yeah.
Well, Saturday night, we're coming back from Northampton.
Yeah.
Car at the studio.
Yeah.
She's getting pain, contractions.
Okay.
Quite bad contractions.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. This is at Leicester. So we're about an hour away.
Okay.
So we get home. Slowly, but we get home.
Yeah, yeah.
And contractions were slapping. She'd rang up and they'd said, get yourself down to the triage bit on the birthing unit.
Yeah.
Just check you and baby over.
Yeah.
You know, do all the listening to it and whatnot. She said, bring all your bits for you and baby. You may as well stay. Your partner can stay and everything.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll come. Any problem? No problem. Just, you're in. This is about midnight as well, right?
Okay.
You're in 5 hours. There's no... 6 hours. There's not really much point you going home to come back at 8 in the morning.
No.
With half the ward's empty, get yourself in. No worries, we can get your bed ready now. Alright? Sweet. No fucking problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really good. The woman who was checking on her, fantastic. When she's looking at the machine with the monitors and on, we're back in 10 minutes, she was back in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Get sent from the birthing unit triage bit into the ward.
Yeah.
And again, we get set up straight away. About 4 in the morning. Absolutely fantastic from this lass. Didn't see this lass again. For a monitor, just doing the monitoring baby check before she did the shift handover.
Yeah.
No problem. So I've come home. I've thought what I'll do is I've got a spag bol in the fridge. I've just got to cook some pasta up. The plan was, which her ex fucked up because he wouldn't have James, as well as Axel.
No. Right,
yeah.
okay.
Bearing in mind he's James' uncle.
Yeah.
James was going to say, Mum, so the plan was I'd come home Monday after getting her settled, have my spag bol, have a good meal, go back, pick up a meal deal, just have a sandwich later. Because obviously the men don't eat, do they? So all for the patient, not for you.
Yeah.
So I come home, I brought the car home, so I won't pay ridiculous car parking fees.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who were awake said that she'd take me down.
Okay.
She were having James on Monday when my mum were at work for us.
Yeah.
So she took me back down, gets there, texts me back while it's ready to cook the next day on the Monday.
Yeah.
Right. Shift gets changed over. So 4 a.m. Sunday morning, I think I've gone to sleep on this armchair. Up at about 8 when the first shift change come over because they did the morning rounds with the doctors.
Okay.
And I think I had about another hour and a half somewhere else. And someone else coming. 11:30. They're going to put this balloon in her. They'll expand the cervix to 4 centimetres.
Yeah.
Wide enough for them to then pop the waters.
Okay.
Right. You'll know it's wide enough. It will just fall out of you.
Jesus Christ.
Right? That's how it works. She's going along. Emily's walking to the toilet. You can go to the toilet, you can walk around, you bounce on the yoga ball, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Just the toilet comes out of the toilet, thing drops out. Right, okay. Took a few hours. Can't remember what time this was. Same person comes in. Oh, I can't find your waters to pop.
Oh, God.
Your cervix is too long. Can't quite get up there to pop your waters.
Right.
We'll get an opinion of a doctor. We're going to do an handover. Shifts were changing.
Right,
okay. So now this is then going to be the 4th person that we've seen since being there from 1 a.m. the night that Sunday morning. Yeah. So this is now into Sunday night.
Okay.
Doctor comes round, does awards. Can't feel the waters. Yeah, I can't get them. What we can do though, we could put another balloon in. We could try again. Worst thing is, come tomorrow morning, we end up taking you down for a C-section. All right? This doesn't work. Take you down for a C-section. Okay, no worries. The midwife on the Sunday night, best person out of everybody. She was lovely. She was brilliant. Right? She couldn't do enough for us. See you later. Have a good one. Cheers, dude. She couldn't do enough for us, yeah?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Simplay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and I'll be bringing you all the action once again here live at Indianapolis for the 3rd round of the Pro-Am Championship. And once again, we are in the early morning settings here. Dark, as you can see right now, but we will be going into the daytime a little bit later on. Turning into Simplay's main commentator this season, but nonetheless, I'll be bringing you all the action here tonight, and I'm looking forward to another dramatic night's worth of racing here at the iconic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, obviously famously known for holding the Indy 500 and the Brickyard, as it's also nicknamed. And one of the iconic things about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, or one of the things about the Indy 500, instead of spraying champagne when they win the 500, they actually pick a type of milk that they want, and I believe a milk company nearby ends up producing that milk to the winning driver. Sadly, here at Simplay, we do not have any milk. I do have some in the fridge, but that's just made for my coffee. But sadly, no milk will be given to the drivers tonight, as we look to the Pro-Am drivers this evening, and they will tackle this tricky circuit, and a circuit that's obviously, with the conditions that we have set here, it is very cold, 10 degrees. the track in the air temperature. Track is currently set to fast, so there's very little grip out there at the minute, and it is a bit of overcast as well. But as we are talking about the circuit and obviously the layout of the track as well, here is the quick map to see exactly how Indianapolis looks and some facts about it as well. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 2.4 miles long and 3.9 kilometers long. Number of corners, there's 15 around this circuit, and there's going to be 5 that go to the left, 10 to the right, and the pole position driver will be starting on the right hand side of the grid, so they'll have the inside into turn number 1. The ACC lap record round here is a 1 minute 34.0, held by a Ford Mustang, and the most successful driver around this circuit is myself. So that is a quick rundown of the circuit here, and like I said, a very famous and well-known circuit nonetheless, and we look forward to some great racing here tonight. As I said, we look to the calendar now. This is how the calendar looks as we work our way through the season. We've just done Brands Hatch. That was our first evening race. Now we've just done Spa. We are here at Indianapolis for round 3 of the season. A morning race, that's why it is dark, but it will turn light very shortly. We then head down under towards Bathurst Mount Panorama for round 4 of the championship, while round 5 will be home of British Motorsport at Silverstone. Round 6 we head to Africa, South Africa to be specific, at Kyalami for the midpoint way of the season. Our one and only night race to the home of Ayrton, the statue of Ayrton Senna, reminding of the iconic legend that is. We head to Imola for our night race. Round 8 of the season is the Nürburgring, famously known for having the green hell behind it, but we are doing the GP version. And then we head to the home of Red Bull, the Red Bull Ring, our second night race of the season. Then we head to Autumn Park, probably the most difficult and treacherous circuit of the British circuits that are out there, for round 10. Round 11, we go back stateside to Watkins Glen. And then we finish things off back at the home of Simplay Motorsport. We head back to Donington Park. So that is our calendar, and that's how the rest of the season will look as we go towards the rest of the season. Also, a reminder as well, while we're here talking about all these fantastic things that we have to offer, we are reminding as well that the 3rd of May, bank holiday weekend, will be our Nürburgring 24 hours. We will take on the Nordschleife for 24 hours solid as a community to fight off and to challenge the horrid that is cancer, and Paul Williams leading the front with Team FBR and ourselves working together to help challenge and tackle this horrible disease. So make sure you tune in and sign up for that one when all information becomes available. So as we now look forward to tonight's race, obviously a lot to look forward to this evening. Obviously back again for the Pro-Ams. The way the format here works tonight, we have got, if I try and get a driver on circuit, a different driver at that, we got a sprint race to start things off, and that is based on the reverse grid of the championship. And nice to see Peaceful in the chat saying good luck to the Pro-Am, and Andrew Aberdeen as well. Evening, gents. Good luck, all GT3 drivers. And I will try my very best not to ruin anyone's names again. I'm trying my very best. I keep messing up, and it's Hubert that I keep getting wrong. I called him Herbert last night, and Hubert the week before, but it's Hubert. So hopefully next week I will get that right. I am learning, I am trying to get used to names. I know it's probably the most basic name, and I still can't get it right. But yeah, nonetheless, let's hear you all in the chat. Let's give your support to the Pro-Am drivers. The way this works is we've got a sprint race, reverse grid based on now of the championship in reverse, and then we head into a qualifying session, a 15-minute qualifying session, and then we will have the grid based for the feature race, which will be an hour long, not 45 minutes, an hour long race. So all that to look forward later on as well. But make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified. One thing I also forgot to mention as well is our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing, and much, much more, including Simplay merchandise. Head over to their Facebook page, which is in the link below. Audio Sport, Volkswagen, of manufacturers of VW Transporter T4 audio solutions products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk. Their Facebook link is there as well in the description. While you're in the description, follow all of our social media links, and also if you want to be a part of the action here at Simplay Motorsport, then head over to the Sim Grid. Get yourself signed up, get yourself a part of the series, get involved in the Discord. There's always lots of good chat in the Discord. I think we got all sorts of discussions at the minute, mainly about Formula One. I think it is one of the main ones at the moment. But nonetheless, get involved, see what you can do here at probably one of the greatest console leagues that is out there at this stage. Championship standings. I haven't got that open at the minute, so let's get that bad boy open, because this will determine the grid obviously tonight. No milestones to look to tonight as I have a look at the drivers' championship standings. It is hopefully he's out on track. There he is, or he's in the wall. Snai leads the way at the minute, 10 points ahead of Hibbs in second place position. Third is Ramsel, while fourth is Sam. Fifth is Betterson, while John Goudet is sat in P6. P7 is P7, sorry, is Stardog, while P8 is Stephen Beck. P9 is The Limiter, while P10 is Mirko Ricci. P11 is Stephen Millington, while in P12 is Andrew Taylor. 13th is Tucker, while 14th is Fat Bloke. 15th is Paul Williams, while 16th is Struck, and 17th is Wolfski. 18th is Saunders, Argent in 19th, and Old Sim Racer in that 20th position. 21st is Flem Speed 1 with Johnson in 22nd, DJ Phil in 23rd, Flores in 24th, Benedict Varga in 25th, 26th is Smith, 27th is Best, 28th is Craig Hicks, is 29th, and Fernie in 30th. Evsky in 32nd, while 33rd is the Cranky Duckhead, 34th is Lane, and Nuclear Waste bringing up the rear, and John Andrews sadly had to pull out of the series. Regarding the teams, it looks like this. Greasy Bandits are leading. Greasy Bandits Racing are leading away ahead of Cam Racing, Fat Bloke Racing in P3. While P4 is Stage 2 Motorsport. FSO Racing is also in that P5 position. Mad Dog Motorsport in P6. P7 is Sim Play Racing. P8 is Richie Corsa Team, while P9 is Team Murloc. P10 is RB GT Team, while P11 is Team Tom Cloud9 Racing in P12. P13 Road Runners Motors, while P14 is Quantum Motorsport. Yes, Quantum. Yes, that is right. TRC Audio in 16th, and Mobbers Racing in 17th place position. And that is your championship standings. And regarding the session here at the minute, obviously track is now gone to optimum, so all these guys constantly going round and around. It has brought the temperature up. In the chat, Ben telling, saying go on Lukey Teckings, and Tips in the chat saying good evening or a peaceful explosion. Is John Goudet sandbagging? Who knows? We know he's got some decent pace around here at Indianapolis in that Aston Martin, so we see what he can do. But currently, at the minute, it is Robert Ramsel. He is setting the pace at the minute. 3 minutes still left of practice to go. Hibbs is currently sat in that second position, while Millington is in third. Cam Racing looking very, very good. John Goudet is currently sat in that P4 position with Mirko Ricci in fifth. Stardog in sixth, while Old Sim Racer is in seventh. The Limiter, P8, while Saunders is in P9. Wolfski is in P10. Williams currently sat in 11th with Johnson in 12th, Craig in 13th, while Evsky currently in that 14th place position, Varga in 15th, while 16th is Fernie, Beck in 17th, Snai 18th, Taylor 19th, Flores in 20th, Greaves in 21st, Fat Bloke 22nd, Hicks 23rd, and Tucker 24th, Smith 25th, DJ Phil 26th, Lane in 27th best, and then Argent into the session. And that is your current running order. So let's go on board with a driver who's in the final sector, shall we? We'll go on board with Stephen Millington and get you an idea of this fantastic circuit. Yeah, right, I got it right this time. I will get it right throughout this season. Quantum, there you go. I've got it now. So, out to the final corner comes Stephen Millington to take a lap around this fantastic circuit at Indianapolis. We're going backwards onto the banking. Obviously, the Indy 500 go the opposite way around. They go in an anti-clockwise direction. We're going in a clockwise direction, heading down towards turn number 1. We're braking at the 500-meter board. Bang, into the brakes, dropping down into second gear to get the front end turned in. Try not to take too much curb as you then swing it into turn 2. A slight little rise as you come over 2, as you then sweep it into 3. Carrying that speed and momentum, braking as you're turning to get into 4. Try and get that front to turn in. Patience on the throttle, get a good exit as you go through 4 into 5, flat out through 5. Then hitting the brakes again, awkward corner as you're turning and braking into 6. Car runs a little bit wide. He tries to get the front to tuck in, then open up to the next corner into 7. Get a good exit out to 7, and then run your way down towards the S's, heading towards 8, 9, 10, and 11. We're in the slipstream of Fernie at the minute as we head down towards there. Brake at the second board to the corner into 8. Get the front turned in. Fernie moves out of the way into 9. Shake as much curb as you can. Same with 10. Using as much curb as possible and cut as much as possible into 11. And Millington just running a little bit wide there, losing a bit of time. But as he does that, he then gives himself a good exit out into 12. 12 not really a corner, flat out corner through here, up towards the banking. Get as close as you dare to the wall, braking at the first board and get turned in. Try not to take the curbs too much. Millington quite take a few as he heads into the penultimate corner and abuse the inside curb. And as he does so, he will come into pit lane instead. So this gives us an identity of what the pit lane will look like. He comes into the corner, and there is the board, and he gets it stopped beautifully. Thank you, Stephen Millington, for that one, as he does a great job of not just showing me the circuit, he also shows me the pit lane. So tonight, John Goudet and Hibbs are also running a slight different to their livery. They've added red wheels to their car, and I need to just double check my information before I say it. But they're running the red wheels in honor. Showing some respect to Betterson's loss for his dad. So they're running the red wheels for Betterson in memory of his father. So it's a nice little touch from the guys there. But by the end of the session, we're into the 35s, the 35.9 set by Ramsell. And that is the pace that the guys will be chasing. Good evening in the chat to Jamal Cloudin, Matt Wright, Benedict Varga. We got Peaceful in the chat, Tibbs, Ben Telling, and Andrew Aberdeen as well. Let's hear you guys in the chat as we are about to get our reverse grid underway here, as we are just waiting for, I believe, the 77. That is Saunders. As we are about to get underway for the first race of the evening, and it is definitely going to be wide open to any of the guys at the front. The guys at the back, meanwhile, will have to be patient. They'll have to take their time and work their way forwards as best they possibly can, but it's not going to be easy. This is the tricky side of a reverse grid. So as I get a poll going for you guys, I will also get the reverse grid up in a few moments' time. And there I have sorted that out. So get your predictions on who you think is going to take the first win tonight. There's a Lamborghini on pole position for this sprint race. The reverse grid in place. We've got a couple of gaps of where drivers would have been. as we just wait for the drivers to get set and ready to go. Make sure they all make the start, and we will get ready to show you a wonderful graphic from John Goudet, aka Hypertech, who's made this lovely time to spend doing everybody's liveries, getting everything together to show you our reverse grid. It's such a brilliant little extra thing that we have here at Simplay Motorsport, and that's how we give you guys such good streams. So, a couple of cars not making the start there. That is DJ Phil and Tucker both failing to make the start. As they get themselves moving away, we will get the reverse grid up on your screen. So up on the screen, you should be able to see the reverse grid order. It should be Lane starting on, Moore started on pole position, with Lane starting alongside him, but Lane will be starting on pole because Moore did not make it. Evsky and Fernie then take up the second row, followed by then it should be Hicks and Craig in that P5 and P6 position. P7 should be then Best and Smith, which also will then move on to row 5 with Varga and Flores taking that positions. Into row 6, that's DJ Phil and Johnson. DJ Phil failing to make the start of this race, so he'll start from pit lane. Then we row 7, and that's Old Sim Racer and Kieran Argent. Then we move to row 8, and that is Saunders and Wolfsky, an all BMW row 8. Row 9 is going to be held by Paul Williams and Fat Bloke, by the FBR crew. And row 10 will be Tucker and Taylor. Taylor, though, will be on his own because Tucker failed to make the start of this race. Row 11, Millington and Ritchie will concede those places, while row 12 will be The Limiter and Beck. Row 13 will hold Stardog and Goudet. And row 14 will host Sam Graves and Robert Ramsell. Row 15 is Hibbs and Snye, and that brings the championship order and the reverse grid here at Indianapolis. So the guys now are coming around into the final sector. Guys, get your votes in on who you think is going to win this race. Let's hear you guys in the chat. Aberdeen saying let's go. Hello right in the chat. It is going to be Lamborghini versus Aston Martin on the front row. Like I said, guys, get your votes in on who you think is going to win. If you don't agree with me with what I put in the prediction, then feel free to put whoever you think is going to win this one. Into the final corner we go, and Lane got quite a bit of a gap at the minute. He might have to back up a little bit, or everyone else needs to catch up, but nonetheless, we're about to go racing for the sprint race for the first time tonight. Lane versus Evsky, Lambo versus Aston. Who is going to take the first win tonight? Two cars starting from pit lane as we now wait for the green here at the Brickyard for round 3 of the season at Indianapolis.
Green light, give us all you can.
We are green and go, and Lane gets himself a drive-through for being out of position as they head down towards turn number 1, as they all start to fan out and head down into that tricky first corner. And we'll go on board with Johnson to see how well they maneuver through this corner, and they're all being a bit tentative on the brake. Argent making contact there, and cars off left, right and centre. Once again, there is absolute carnage at the back of the pack there. And driver's been caught. That is also, I believe, the limiter facing the wrong way. Yes, it is. And they've all got going eventually, but absolute chaos at the start of this race. And Lane has dropped right to the back already. It's Rami Fernie who leads after the first sector as they come through the first sector. So Rami Fernie leading away from Evsky as he's got the entire pack breathing down his neck. As you see there, Evsky's making a mistake and he drops further back. He's now into the clutches of Hicks. Hicks just onto the back of him as everyone else gets himself into order. Archer, meanwhile, ahead of the pack that's been separated due to the incident earlier on. Where is Lane? Lane's dropped right down the order, so from leading to the back of the pack. Oh, and he's made contact with John Goudet. So John being caught up in an incident there and dropping down the order. And his old sim racer came off worse out of all that as DJ Phil and Tucker finally get going. But it's Fernie who leads the way. Ahead of Efsky, ahead of Hicks, ahead of Craig, ahead of Varga, Smith, Richie. And who's that fat bloke? Has got ahead of Johnson, so he now gets past him. Through goes Argent, Williams, Hibbs, Millington, Saunders, Snye, Wolfsky. The BMW's all close together. Beck, Stardog, Taylor, Greaves, Goudet, Best, Limiter, Ramsel, Flores. As during the pits comes Lane and Old Sim Racer, Tucker and DJ Phil. That is your running order as it stands. Meanwhile, Efsky already onto the attack of Ramy Fernie for the race lead. Working our way through these tricky corners right now. And Efsky right now trying to get the edge over Fernie. Any other close battles at the man, a fat bloke just ahead of this squabble between Johnson and Argent. And I think that is Smith. He's dropped down another position. He's dropped behind fat bloke. But Hibbs is on the move from the back of the pack. He is on to the back of Williams. The two McLarens going at it at the moment. And Hibbs up the inside. Argent goes up the inside of Johnson. Oh, Hibbs just manages to get Johnson as well. And through goes Hibbs. So Hibbs getting 2 for 1 there in one corner. Oh, Johnson has a snap. And he manages to collect it as he's got Williams breathing down his neck. He's also got Millington as well. So there is Millington right behind them. And Millington now looking to take advantage going into the slow right-hander. He's just not too close enough at the minute. Tricky section to do it in. Meanwhile, Benedict Varga still trying to harass the back of Craig, but Richie's in the middle of all this as well. Richie looked quite comfortable and fast here in this session, and he's currently 6th at the minute. Meanwhile, Argent has got Hibbs breathing down his neck. Hibbs is looking to the inside of turn number 1. And Argent with the grunt of the Bentleys just stays ahead ever so slightly. Oh, Hibbs, I think, made a mistake there. And Johnson looked like he was about to make a move. And Johnson now looked to make a move and been caught out, and been beat past by Millington. So Johnson getting the jump there. And the other fight's going on over there. Sandgreaves looking like he's just struggling a little bit here. He's got the limiter up the inside and through he goes. Off goes, is that Ramsel? Yes, it is. So Robert Ramsel, fastest in the session, just struggling at this stage. As well as Goudet, there he is. He's onto the back of Wolfsky. And Wolfsky now under some pressure. Sorry, Saunders. He's pressurising Saunders. And Saunders now a little bit wide as Goudet looks to go underneath him. They're side by side. To the left-hander they go, and looks like Saunders has got front end damage, and they get close, and John Goudet gets the position. Meanwhile, Benedict Varga has now passed Craig. He's also got Richie right behind them. But meanwhile, Fernie and Efsky pulling away out in front, with Hicks sat in that 3rd place position. Pit window has now opened. Now Benedict Varga has cleared Craig. Can he pull away and try and tackle the leaders? Fat Bloke's had a decent start to this race. He's worked his way forward and he's currently sat in that P7 position. But we're watching Craig look back up the inside of Varga, but he can't quite get the job done. Stardog and Snye into the pits. And Craig there a little bit slow coming out there. He's got Richie right behind him. Oh, the Lamborghini just understeers a little bit there and goes understeering again. He's just struggling here at the minute, at the early part of this session. If anything, Craig's coming back at the BMW of Varga. But the top two pulling. Oh no, Craig's dropped it. Craig's dropped it in the background. As the rest of the pack come flying through, he has to wait for an opportunity. Meanwhile, Efsky has come back onto the attack of Fernie. At the minute, Fernie doing everything he needs to do. A lot of chat going on at the minute. Right saying the Nissan is a handful around here. Fury's granddad saying good evening all and best of luck to them. Beto in the chat saying evening all, and a tribute, a reminder to his the passing of his father. And Hibbs and Gude are running red wheels because of it. And here comes Hibbs to make the attack on Argent. And Argent keeps it strong on the outside. And Hibbs doesn't gain a position. He has to fall in line. Meanwhile, Hibbs comes into pit lane, try and get that clean air by the looks of things. But here comes your leading pack, Hicks. And with 107, who is that? That is Wolfsky. He's got stop and go, so he's been caught out by the pit lane. And Fernie now coming onto the back of lapping traffic. This is going to be tricky for the leaders because it's a long pit lane around here, but a short lap, and it really unsettles the grid because it's all over the shot. The cars come into pit, and they come back out, and they're in traffic. As we see here, Evsky really starting to put the pressure. Stardog has a moment as Fernie's coming through. So Fernie's trying to work his way through the order, and Evsky now right behind him. If I was one of the leading two now, you know you're ahead of these cars. You're going to be probably dropped into a lovely gap. So sooner rather than later, it would be a good time to pit. So we'll see if any of these guys decide to pit at that stage. But Fernie, meanwhile, still holding on to that position. Hicks now starting to become under some pressure from Benedict Varga, and Richie's right behind him. Argent, meanwhile, has got pressure from Millington, while Beck is trying to chase down, try and chase down Millington himself. A lot of cars in pit lane, so the track is a little bit spread out. DJ Phil working his way up. The number 3, that is Craig. He's not done his stop. Fat Bloke has got to stop and go as well. So after a great start, all these cars are being caught out by the pit lane, and stop and go for a lot of cars already here tonight as Fernie and Richie come in. That now releases Evsky and Hicks. Benedict Varga now onto the back of Hicks. Oh, it gets a little bit deep. Oh, Hicks had a great run through the S's. Argent, meanwhile, into a little bit of clean air. This is going to be a best opportunity to score some decent points here for Argent. Where's everyone else feeling out to? Everyone else is relatively spread out. John Goudet looking to try and recover after a bad start here. So he's trying his very best to work his way up the order. But meanwhile, it's the closest fight on track. It is Varga versus Hicks. To go on the helicopter cam, you see, oh, Hicks is making a mistake there, goes onto the grass, as does Benedict Varga, but Benedict Varga has a great run as he head down towards the left-hander. Ben looking up the inside, has he got it break? No, he's not quite close enough, he clobbers the curb, and that's going to ruin his momentum. We go on board with Benedict Varga, and as you can see, he's trying everything he possibly can to try and find a way through, but can't do so at the moment. Now into the right-hander. Hicks just got to keep him covered, keep ahead of him. Track position is key around here. And is Benedict Varga going to come in? Yes, he is. So Ben coming into pit lane, choosing now is the time to get in the pit. Meanwhile, Fernie still the leading pitter. He's got quite a healthy gap over Richie as we are at the halfway stage. So we will end the poll there. At the minute though, Pactor is a little bit spread out at this stage. A couple of cars close together. We've got Snai and Stardog going at it, and then we got this fight. The limiter is being hunted down by John Goudet. So can John do anything about the Porsche? As you see here, John Goudet going through, as Rice says in the chat, please don't mess up your stop this week, Hicks. Hicks is in a very good position here. And John Goudet's had a great run. He's about to send it up the inside of the limiter. The limiter holding that inside, goes back to the outside of the circuit, and John misses his braking. And the limiter holds on to the position. So Limiter just pushing the limits there, I think, or trial limits. Possibly, I haven't really looked into that, as the stop and goes have been cleared by Craig and Fat Bloke. Such a shame for them. Meanwhile, Evsky's coming out of pit lane. Where is Fernie? That is the question. I can't even find Fernie on the list. There he is. And Fernie has extended his gap ever so slightly. So Remy Fernie still leading the way ahead of Evsky, as Hicks is now into the pits. Whereas Argent, he hasn't really gained much on the leaders, but he's still ahead of Benedict Varga. Taylor has had a decent stop by the looks of things as well. So just wait for the timetables to update. But it is still Fernie leading the way, as Goudet is now back on the rear wing of the Limiter. And Tucker and Best having a little fight at the minute. Best trying to defend that 23rd position. And Tucker started from pit lane. He's now looking to make the move on the Ferrari. Out of the slipstream comes Tucker. Towards turn number 1 it goes Best. Defends the inside as best he dares. And through goes Tucker. Job done for him. Meanwhile, Ramsell is on the back of Snai and Stardog, and they're all stuck behind Lane. Lane's working his way through this sector. Who's that? That's Taylor just behind him as well. Taylor nearly making contact with Lane as Hicks gets the stop done. He's gone green. Where is Fernie? Fernie exits the final corner. Where is Hicks? There he is. As Evsky's brought the gap down as well. So Evsky's got a little bit closer to what has happened to Argent? Oh, there's Argent. So Evsky's get a little bit closer to Fernie, as there is Hicks, and Hicks has been jumped by Hibbs and Ritchie, but not Millington, so he stays ahead of Millington at this stage. So can he hold on to that position? That is the question. Paul Williams still on the back of Benedict Varga. Benedict Varga having a much better race this time round. He struggled at Spa-Francorchamps. We've got Snai ahead of Ramsell, Taylor just behind them as well. But John Goudet up the inside of the Limiter. Is that job done? Limiter's holding in there. He's holding strong. But John will have the inside for the next sequence of corners. And Limiter has to lose out here. But he's going to try and outbrake the Aston if he possibly can. But he can't do so. So the Limiter dropping back behind John Goudet. Back to the front though, it's Fernie versus Evsky. And here comes the Aston Martin. Can he do anything about the McLaren? Trying to find a way through, trying to find that opportunity. Can't seem to find one at this minute as Fernie holds on to the position. Meanwhile, Ritchie is being hunted down by Hibbs. Hibbs has had a great job, by the way. He started pretty much on the back of the pack and has worked himself all the way up to 4th place. A brilliant job from him. Millington now onto the rear wing of Hicks. We'll go on board of Hicks. Here comes Millington. Down the back straight they go. Millington, how late is he going to be on the brakes as they head towards turn number 1? Hicks is going to try and be later, and he does, and he makes the corner. So Hicks holds on to the position. A great job from there. He holds on for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Paul Williams and Beck, the two teammates, getting close to the back of Varga now. Varga trying to hold on as best he can. Pit window has now closed. Ramsell sets fastest lap of the race, but he's still stuck behind Snai, and he's got Taylor just behind him as well. Just under 5 minutes left to go of this sprint race, and it is Fernie leading the way. Evsky just there or thereabouts, but can't quite do anything at this stage. With Ritchie in 3rd. P4 is Hibbs. And Hibbs not able to gain a little bit more time. Hicks still holding on against Millington. They're being caught by Argent bit by bit. And still Benedict Varga holds off the Stage 2 Motorsport onslaught. Here comes Ramsell around the outside of Snai. Is that job done? Yes, it looks like it is. And Ramsell now ahead of Snai. And Taylor just behind them. Oh, BMW driver just a little bit squirrely there, making a slight mistake. As John Goudet's already caught onto the back of Saunders, so that shows how much pace that Goudet actually has underneath him. Meanwhile, Richie's trying to break the toe off of Hibbs. As your leaders come through turn one once again. Fernie ahead of Evsky, ahead of Richie. I think this would be the first time all three of these guys would have had a podium this season. Now Stardog sets fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, Snai looking to attack Ramsel. Ramsel moving a little bit as Snai went to make his move. As Taylor there just stuck and can't find a way through. Goudet has already done Saunders, so another position gain for him there. Rest of the pack all evenly spread out as they come towards the end of this race. But it looks like Fernie seems to have Evsky under control. It doesn't seem to be faltering or making any mistakes, and the Richie Corsa team gaining some decent points here. I say that, but here comes Hibbs. He's right on the back bumper of the Richie Corsa car of Richie, and down the inside, and Richie clobbers the wall, but Hibbs gets the job done, and a P3 for him. And through the S's, there you go. Fernie's extended the gap by a second now. A nice healthy gap as Hicks is still trying to defend from Millington. Millington right there. He just understeers a little bit wide there. Argent's now onto the scene, so Hicks got a massive titanic job here to defend not just on the Ferrari but also from the Bentley. Down towards turn number one, on board with Hicks. Oh, he's gone a bit deep. That gives Ramsel a sniff of an opportunity, and once again he's just parking his car right in the middle of the circuit, not allowing the two behind to make any opportunity as we go on board with Argent. Just struggling by the sound to get on power. A little bit of understeer there from Argent as well, so he's just struggling just to keep that Bentley under control as Hicks goes wide. Oh, Millington saw a sniffing opportunity but couldn't quite get the job done. Argent though with a great run out of that right-hander, heading down towards the next sequence of corner, the left-hander. Meanwhile, Benedict Varga has been passed by Beck, and up goes the inside, goes Argent, but he clobbers the curb way too much and loses out again. Beck, meanwhile, has cleared Varga. Now it's Williams and Stardog. Taylor, meanwhile, has got past Ramsel, and he's now looking up the inside of Snai. So moves happening up and down the order, and Taylor can't find a way through at this stage. Varga under pressure from the rest of the pack. Meanwhile, Millington is still pressurising Hicks. Oh, and Argent nearly hits the back of Millington. Meanwhile, your race leader starts his final lap. Remy Fernie leading the way. I'm so used to calling his son. But Remy Fernie leading the way ahead of Evsky, ahead of Hibbs, ahead of Richie. And then we got this fight between Hicks and Millington, sorry. And Millington now coming down towards the right-hander. Argent tries to brake later. Is a little bit optimistic, and he just avoids hitting the back of the Ferrari. Meanwhile, Taylor and Snai still going at it. Snai looks like he's got a little bit of damage to the front end of that car. What has happened to Ramsel? He's dropped down the order. He's dropped behind Goudet. But Taylor will get the job done on Snai. Yes, he will. And that's 10th place position for him. We go back to Hicks, who's still defending from Millington. And there's the opportunity that Millington need. Up the inside he goes. And Hicks loses out there. And he's going to lose another position. Yes, he is. Argent's up the inside. Or not quite. Argent gets a little bit loose on traction. But Hicks still under some immense pressure. Since Beck's been released, he has been hunting them down. Oh, and Argent goes up the inside of Hicks. Has he gone too deep again? No, this time he collects it and stays facing the right way. What has happened? Paul Williams has ended up down the order. And where is Varga? There he is. So Benedict Varga is in a fight with Goudet at the minute, but we look to the final corner. It's close between the top two, but it's going to be Smokey Davil, aka Remy Fernie. He hasn't won in a very long time. It is going to be Remy Fernie who wins the sprint race ahead of Evsky, ahead of Hibbs, ahead of Richie. Then it's going to be Millington coming out of the final corner. He is going to take that P5 position. Argent P6. P7 is Hicks. P8 was Bex. Just caught them at the end. Stardog in P9. And Taylor just staying ahead and completing the top 10. He will hold off Snai for 11th place. Goudet with 12th and fastest lap to his name. Ramsel will finish in 13th. Here comes Luke Saunders out of the final corner, being hunted down by the limiter. Across the line they go, with Varga just behind them, Greaves as well. Paul Williams is going to come home for that 18th place position, and further back is Flores, who's been hunted down by Johnson. And old sim racer Beto in the chat saying GG's Fernie. As they exit the final corner, Flores is going to hang in there for that 19th place position. Every point counts. Johnson crashes in, comes across the line in 20th. Old sim racer in 21st. Tucker from pit lane will finish in 22nd position. Smith will come home for 23rd, and then it is Best in that 24th position. DJ Phil in 25th, Fatbo 26th, Wolski 27th, Lane in 28th, and Craig bringing up the rear in 29th position. That, ladies and gentlemen, was your Pro-Am race. It was Remy Fernie taking the win ahead of Evsky, ahead of Hibbs. And that is that. We'll be back in a few moments' time as we will get qualifying underway for the feature race that'll be coming with you in a few moments' time.
Green light, go, go, go. Green light. Give us okay.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Simplay Motorsports, as we are now going to get underway for our qualifying session here. Reminder, 15 minutes of qualifying is now underway, as we will determine what the order will be for the feature race. 1 hour long is the feature race, and we'll have a look at what the championship standings looks like as well. As the tables look like this, it's Hibbs now leading the way in the championship, ahead of Snai in P2, 15 points separating them, and Ramsell in third place position, 31 behind them. Richie is now up into P4 with Millington in P5, Beck P6, Goudet in P7, Stardog in P8, Rod Greaves is in P9, P10 is Limiter, P11 is Taylor, Argent, P12 with Betson in 13th, Fernie 14th, Tucker 15th with Saunders in 16th place position, Efsky in 17th, Williams in 18th, Fat Bloke in 19th, Old Sim Racer in 20th, 21st is Wolski, Johnson in 22nd, Struck in 23rd, Hicks in 24th, Flores is now 25th, with Varga in 26th position, 27th is Flem Speed 1 with DJ Phil in 28th, Smith 29th, Best in 30th, Craig 31st, and then the Cranky Duckhead in 33rd. 34th is Lane, and that is your current drivers' standings. Regarding the teams, it is Greasy Bandits leading the way, 23 points ahead of Cam Racing, with Richie Corsa team scoring big in that one, getting himself back up into P3. P4 is Simplay Racing, with Stage 2 Motorsport in P5. Fat Bloke Racing down into P6, down P7 is Mad Dog Motorsport. P8 is SSO Racing Team, with P9 the Roadrunner Motors, with P10 the Team Murloc, P11 Team Tom, with P12 Quantum Motorsport in P13, RB GT Team, Cloud9 Racing in 14th, and Mobbers Racing in 15th place position. That is your championship standings. As we are back underway here, as the drivers will now start their qualifying session, and I believe it is the 31 of Hibbs who is leading the way, and he is going to be the first one to set a representative time here. With this circuit, a lot about Indianapolis is just about being patient, allowing the car to use its mechanical grip, and just trust that the car will grip up. Obviously, the longer they go out there, the more and more the track will grip up. The track has gone to optimum. It started faster. It's already ramping up relatively quickly already. But that is just the key here. It's just let the car use its mechanical grip. And obviously the straight line does help massively for the likes of the Mustangs, the Bentleys, and a few other strong straight line cars as well. The GTR, sorry, is another one I forgot to mention. A few drivers that are on a qualifying ban here tonight. It is Ramy Fernie is on a qualifying ban, as is, let me just double check, Michael as well. So both those drivers are on a qualifying ban, and they both should be back in the pits as I double check. I know Michael is, and where is Ramy Fernie? I think he's out on track. Yes, he is, so he shouldn't really be out on track, but here he's going to set a lap time, but it is going to be Hibbs to come to the line first, a 36.5. They know they can go faster than that. Ritchie goes into P2. Fernie, who was on a qualifying ban, goes in P3. Unless he decides to start from the back of the pack, he will have to take that qualifying ban onwards. Varga is in P5 as Evsky goes into P2. Argent goes into P5. Taylor now into P8. Tucker in a P9. Goudet goes within 900 of a second to Hibbs. As we see Millington cross the line in P3. What does Ramsell do? Ramsell not setting a lap time at the minute as Old Sim Racer goes into P8. Then we got Benedict Varga. No lap time from him at the minute. As Stardog now crosses the line, it is then Wolfsky to come to the line, and he will go into P15. Just behind them is the McDonald's driver of, I believe, that is either Fat Bloke or Sam Greaves. It is Sam, and no lap time set by him. It is then a Fat Bloke, I believe, crossing the line. It was, but no lap time was produced. Or there was. Yes, there was. He was 13th place position in the end. We look back to the front. It is going to be Hibbs. But just in front of Hibbs, there is another car just before him coming into the final corner. That is the 81. I'm not sure who the 81 is. Well, the 88, sorry. So the 88 crossed the line and didn't improve its lap time. Ritchie now goes into P2. And we see there Ritchie improving his lap time as Fernie goes quicker as well. A reminder, he should be on a qualifying ban, but he is not serving it as this yet. Evsky's now dropped down to 7th. Argent now goes up into 9th place. And I believe John Goudet was looking for some clean air. He came into the pits and now he's got a long wait. Ramsell will see what he can do as he now exits the final corner. Ramsell goes fastest with a 36.4. As times are starting to improve, Millington goes up. Snye is now into the final corner. He's got Craig just ahead of him. Oh no, they're going through the first sector, sorry. So the 96, that is Sam. He's not put a lap time on the board yet. And he goes P7 with that attempt. So good lap time from him. Then it is his teammate Fat Bloke Axton, the final corner. DJ Phil just in front of him. DJ Phil, no lap time. Can Fat Bloke improve on 17th place position? No, he does not. So lap time struggling there for him. The 88, that was Hicks. He's currently down in 20th position. Then it will be Hibbs once again. Out of the final corner comes Hicks. To the line now, and no improvement. Then it is Hibbs who's pulling Ritchie with him, and Ritchie improves and goes ahead of him, and Fernie doesn't improve either. The 5.57, that is Benedict Varga. Does he improve on 14? Yes, he does. He goes up into 6th. Wolski doesn't improve. Argent goes into 11th. Then we got a BMW just behind them. I believe that is Snai. Yes, it is. Let's look to Old Sim Racer, currently in 16th place position, looking to try and improve on that lap time if he possibly can. Also, Taylor's coming to the line. Any improvement for Taylor? No improvement for him. Old Sim Racer, meanwhile, 16th at the minute. And doesn't improve, drops down the order. Meanwhile, Saunders does improve, as does Stardog. Stardog goes fastest with 35.8. So lap times are improving. They are getting quicker, as John Goudet has managed to get out on track once again. And just ahead of him is Wolski. He's in a kind of a lovely gap at the minute, but the one in the best gap at this stage is possibly this man. It is Fat Bloke as he crosses to the line. Any improvement? No improvement. DJ Phil, neither improvement from him either. So it's Stardog at the minute setting the pace. As you now look back to Flores, who's still yet to set a lap time. He comes to the line, currently 25th, 21st he goes into. As Hicks now exits the final corner in the Ferrari. Any improvement from him? He goes into 17th as Hibbs crosses the line, gets within 3/10 of Stardog. Richie doesn't improve. Fernie goes P3. And again, a reminder, Fernie should not be qualifying, but he has done. Benedict Varga crosses the line, no improvement does Wolski. Evsky does not improve. Argent does, though. He gains another position. Just behind him is Snai. He goes back ahead of him, so those two trading positions. I believe that it is Craig. Craig, a slight improvement. But where is Ramsell? He's coming out of the final corner there. He's P4 still. As Millington now looking to improve on P11. No improvement for him. So lap times now starting to just level out a little bit. Stardog crosses the line. He does not improve his lap time, as we've only got 5 minutes left of this session. John Goudet currently in P6. The number 8 exiting the final corner. Just ahead of him is a McLaren of, I believe it's Beck. No improvement. Goudet does not improve. Sorry, that was Paul Williams that was ahead of him. 555, that is Fat Bloke. Does he improve? He does. He goes up to 18th place position. Will DJ Phil finally get a lap time on the board? No, he doesn't. As we now look to Paul Williams, who goes through the first sector. The 418, that is Flores, currently 24, 3.1 off the pace. He finds a 10th and goes ahead of Smith. And we go back to Hibbs once again. 3/10 currently off the fastest. Any improvement here? No improvement for him. So Taylor now comes to the line. And no improvement from him either. Richie crosses the line, no improvement, as we see their car just disappearing. Benedict Varga does improve and goes up to 7th. And I see there, Argent finds some great time there. He goes up into P3. So Kieran Argent finding the pace that he needed. We now look to the number 3. That is Craig exiting the final corner. He finds a little bit of time. Ramsell, meanwhile, any improvement? No improvement for him either. Beck goes into P6. Millington, no improvement. The Stardog looking to improve his gap. 35.8, no improvement there. Wolski, no improvement either. So a lot of these guys still struggling to get a decent lap time underneath them. As Goudet now exits the final corner. Any improvement? No, and no improvement for him either. The limiter, where is he currently? He's down in 18th place position, so drivers just struggling to find that little bit more pace here. Fat Bloke, not improvement. DJ Phil, any improvement for him? Well, a lap time, yes, he finally gets a lap time on the board and goes ahead of Lane in 27th. Then we got Flores just behind them. Any improvement? Yes, so a bit of pace is starting to be found by the drivers, but the overall pace is being set by Stardog. Hibbs currently 3/10 off. He does not find the improvement. We've got Taylor just behind. And again, Taylor, no improvement there. I'm not sure where Taylor is at the minute on this the screen. But we'll look to Robert Ramsell. Half a second off the pace at the minute. Top 11 currently separated by 1 second round here at Indianapolis. And Ramsell, no improvement. Millington comes to the line and does improve. He goes ahead of his teammate. So good lap time from him. Luke Saunders now to the line. No improvement for him. Next car on a valid lap. It is John Goudet coming through the final corner. Looks strong in practice. Looks strong in testing. Can he find the improvement he needs? No, he cannot. There is the limiter as well. Struggling in this session. 1.9 off the pace and still 1.9 off the pace. As Fat Bloke exits the final corner. No improvement for him. As all the drivers just start to be hitting a wall at the minute. Taylor now coming down towards the final corner. Can Taylor improve on 17th place position? 1.6, 6/10, and he'll get him into the top 12. And no improvement for him either. So just struggling here. Flores in the background. Efsky has stopped. He is done for the session. I think Stardog done as well as Snide crosses the line. No improvement for him. And Robert Ramsell does improve and gets within 100th of poleman. 1/10 of the poleman as Old Sim Racer crosses the line and he stays in 17th. Sam Greaves now exiting the final corner here. Is there any more performance out of this BMW? That is the question. Then it's also John Goudet just behind him. Here comes Sam. No improvement. Goudet. No improvement either. So this is it. One last attempt. And the limiter now. He improves. It goes into 14th. So the Porsche driver funded a little bit more pace here. At the 5.57. That is Benedict Varga. He improves ever so slightly. But I believe it's going to be the 52 of Kieran Argent, the last car, or the final car to, well, he's going to be the first one to complete all of his lap times, and he is not improving. He bails, and he will start P4 as it stands. Millington starts P5. The number 88 is what we're looking for now. It is Hicks. He's exiting the final corner. Currently 23rd. Any improvement? 20th place for him. Great stuff in the end. An improvement for him nonetheless. The 237. That is limiter back in the pits. A few others coming back into the pits. As Benedict Varga still on a lap. We look to the 63. That is Old Sim Racer. He improves for ever so slightly. Luke Saunders in the background pushing this car. No improvement either. So we now have only got a handful of cars left. And one of them is John Goudet and Sam Greaves. Sam coming out of the final corner. 1.4 off the pace. He bails. What does John do? Not enough. He finds a 10th and that is it. And we leave down to Benedict Varga to complete the qualifying session. Here he comes out to the final corner. Can he nip John Goudet right at the very end? Benedict Varga in the BMW. Stays P10 in the end. But it is Stardog once again on pole position here ahead of Robert Ramsell. Hibbs, Argent with a good qualifying session with Millington in P5. P6 is Fernie, who should have started in the pit lane, or should have stayed in the pit lane as he had a qualifying ban. Beck starting P7, Ritchie starting P8, Goudet P9, Varga P10, Snide P11, Efsky P12, Saunders P13, limiter, Williams, Greaves. And that is your order as they now get themselves prepped and ready to go. So guys, if you haven't done so, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. so you don't miss anything here at Simplay Motorsport. And make sure you hit that bell, because that will notify you every time that we go live here. And I'm getting a poll currently going at the moment. But a good qualifying session for a lot of the Greasy Bandits club. Got themselves up in the far end of the grid. And there is a poll for you guys. If you don't agree with me, then feel free to write in the chat on who you think is going to win this hour-long race. A feature race here at Indianapolis, round 3 of the season.
20 seconds.
Tomorrow night is a reminder as well that the pros will be hitting the circuit tomorrow night. They'll be challenging this fabulous circuit and bringing you all the action in the commentary box. Will be another sweet and sticky in your box. That will be Matthew Duffin and Kelly Davis bringing you all the actions from the pro. And obviously with that all done this week at Indianapolis, we move to round 4 of the championship, the home of Benny, and we'll be heading down to we're heading to Australia, the other side of the world, as we will go to Bathurst Mount Panorama for the next round of the season. What an iconic circuit, brilliant circuit, and possibly one of the most challenging circuits in the world. So that is round 4 of the championship, and make sure you tune in for that one, because that will be a dramatic one nonetheless. And it depends if we've got wet weather or not. I believe, from what Matt has told me, the weather is looking very hot, very hot. So yeah, but we shall see with all that. So guys, get your votes in on the chat and tips in the chat saying good luck, Stardog. Let's hear from you guys in the chat. Also, let's briefly talk about the Formula One. What do we think to the new liveries? What do we think to the F175? I know probably a lot of the people last night probably weren't watching the stream due to the Formula One event. But what car do you like the look of? And also, while we're looking at look of cars, tell me which cars out of all the cars on the grid that you think looks the nicest, as we will do a quick run through of the grid order, shall we? As we were doing the helicopter cam, I think, for this one. So it's going to be Stardog starting on pole position, with Ramsell starting alongside him. Then it's going to be Hibbs starting in P3, P4 going away of Argent, Millington in P5, with Fernie in P6, Richie in P7, Beck in P8. Well, Goudet will start in P9. I'll be miss racing Bathurst working. Oh, Beto, such a shame. Benedict Vargo will start in P10, Snai in 11th, Efsky will start in 12th, Will Saunders starting in 13th, Limiter will start in 14th place position, with Williams in 15th, Greaves in 16th, well, Taylor starts 17th, Old Sim Racer will start 18th, 19th is Wolfsky, 20th is Hicks, Fat Bloke 21st, Craig 22nd, Tucker 23rd, Flores 24th, Smith 25th, DJ Phil in 26th, Lane in 27th, Best 28th, and Johnson bringing up the rear in 29th after he served his qualifying ban. We now go 2 by 2, and we now wait for the green here for round 3. Feature race here at Indianapolis, as we now wait for the green at the Brickyard. Ferrari versus Ferrari. Mad Dog Motorsport versus Cam Racing. Stardog versus Ramsell. Who's going to get to the first corner first? We shall see in a few seconds' time.
Green light. Go, go, go.
We are green and go, and DJ Phil gets himself a drive-through penalty for being out of position, and he's stopped at the back there by the list of things, as Hibbs has a brilliant start. They're going multiple wide, nearly 4 wide as they head down towards turn number 1, and Hibbs trying to get up the inside of Ramsell, but Argent's going around the outside. He may have understeered a bit wide, but he does get the job done, and it is Ramsell who leads out of turn number 2, but Stardog is still up the inside. Through into the first couple of corners we go. and it looks relatively clean. There is a car at the back of the pack. I'm not sure who that is. It is DJ Phil going very slowly, and there, I think that's Evsky going a little bit squirrely there, but he manages to collect it together. But a much cleaner, better start there from everyone else as they get racing here at Indianapolis. But it is Ramsel leading the way ahead of Stardog, ahead of Argent. And Ramsel got the jump that he needed. Now he just needs to play clever driving now. John Goudet right onto the back of Beck by the looks of things here. But it's Ramsel leading the way for Cam Racing. Start off right behind him. Meanwhile, Arjun trying to defend from Hibbs. Hibbs with a good qualified session, got jumped by Arjun. Arjun going around the outside. Millington there as well as they all found their way down towards the tight right-hander. The rest of the pack, meanwhile, has spread out quite significantly. It looks like John Goudet is the man who's on the move. Meanwhile, Taylor is looking to make a move on Saunders as Hibbs pulling out of the slipstream of Argent. Not really quite close enough. The closest one at the minute is possibly this fight here. Taylor, Saunders and Evsky, and up the inside goes Taylor. Saunders stays to the inside and Taylor losing out there, and he's probably going to lose momentum to Evsky as well. Not this time round. Evsky stays in front. Meanwhile, there is a car in the pit lane. That is Johnson. I'm not sure why he's in pit lane. He's probably not got fuel. He's probably not got enough fuel, so he's low fueled himself possibly for the start of this race. Meanwhile, further back, Fernie is under pressure from Richie, who's looking up the inside of the left-hander, and through goes Richie. Will Beck and Goudet want a bit of the action as well by the looks of things as they come onto the back of him. Snai, though, looking around the outside of John Goudet, but he's always going to understeer wide, and he's going to have to, he gets the job done actually, and Goudet losing out to the BMW, and here comes Benedict Varga up the inside as well. Excuse me. And John trying to hold it strong, but he is going to need to lose out to one BMW here, or is he going to stay up the inside? No, Snai keeps the position, and John Goudet losing out there, but he'll be right onto the back bumper of the BMW. Meanwhile, further back, there is a car off. I'm not sure who that is off. That was Wolfsky. Wolfsky was off big time there into the gravel trap by the looks of things. But Hibbs putting Argent under pressure. Millington with him as well. Fernie been passed by Richie, and there we see Snai still under pressure from Goudet. Goudet looking for an opportunity to come through. But Goudet there right underneath the rear wing of the BMW. Looking left, looking right, but can't find that prime opportunity to sneak it up the inside and gain the position. Saunders, meanwhile, under pressure from Williams and Greaves. And how the story has changed from a week ago. FBR looked mighty at Spa. Here, they are struggling at Indianapolis. But meanwhile, Snai still under some immense pressure from Goudet. Oh, Goudet's tapped in by the list of things, but Snai manages to catch it, and Goudet waits for him to go through again. Meanwhile, Varga, where is Varga? We've lost Varga, I think. Yeah, we have. I think he has been disconnected, possibly. But Snai staying ahead of Goudet at this stage. Meanwhile, Stardog has started to bring the gap down. Argent has lost out to Hibbs, and now he's under pressure from Millington. Millington with a great exit out at the final corner there as Argent stays in the middle of the circuit. Millington now looking to the inside. Is he going to try and outbrake the Bentley? The Bentley quite good on its brakes. He can't do so. Goudet now finally gets alongside Snai, and through he goes. Job done for him, and the BMW now has to fall into place. Any other positions being gained at the minute? Old Sim Racer got ahead of Flores by the list of things. Everyone else relatively spread out as the limiter is now passing Hicks. So limiter having a bad start to this race. He's dropped down the order as Richie sets fastest lap of the race, and he's now got ahead of Millington. So Millington losing out here. I think possibly something to do with Argent, but he has dropped behind Richie and is now falling into the clutches of Fernie. Fernie looking up the inside, and Millington not quite close, didn't really commit to it, so was a little bit unsure. Meanwhile, cars behind all spreading out as the pack now starting to fan out a little bit as Ramsell pulling away from Stardog, and Stardog under pressure from Hibbs here. So as they go through the S's, it is Stardog ahead of Hibbs at this stage as Robert Ramsell is pulling away. Not even joking, I'm crying right now, says Bedivar. Is that with disconnection, I'm guessing, on that one, as Ramsell sets fastest lap of the race, and that is what that clean air is doing for him at this stage. Meanwhile, Millington is ahead of this squabble. Millington has just said bye-bye to Benedict Varga. Such a shame after a good start to that race, as John Goudet says fastest lap, and he goes up the inside of Beck, bouncing all over the curb, but he gets the job done. And Steve Beck, no answer to that one, and he drops back behind the Aston Martin driver. So John Goudet slowly working his way back up the order after a poor qualifying session. Seems to have a very good race setup underneath him. But Hibbs still defending heavily there, as Argent in 4th place currently, just ahead of Millington, ahead of Richie. And then we got this whole gaggle of cars. Will I get a penalty if I DNF by... No, you won't, Benedict Varga, if you can definitely prove that... I don't know if you were streaming, but if it is proof of disconnection, which I believe it is, then yeah, you're fine. You will not get a penalty for that one. DJ Phil is into the pits. Not sure why, but there's a great little scrap going on here. John Goudet looking to go up the inside of Fernie. They can't quite get alongside there, so Fernie under pressure. Meanwhile, Hibbs has caught onto the back of Stardog, but Stardog trying to put away from the McLaren driver at this stage. Down into turn number 1 comes Millington. As John Goudet looked to have a thought about going up the inside of Fernie, but he wants to try and get a better exit out of 2 and through into 3. They've been telling me in the GT4s it was really difficult to overtake, but at the minute John Goudet is passing cars left, right and centre, so he's not having troubles getting across cars. But at the minute they're all still quite close to one another. Taylor's ahead of this squabble, ahead of Taylor, Saunders, Williams, Greaves and old Sim Racer. That bloke is racing Tucker at the minute, but all of them all spread out quite a bit now, as Robert Ramsell starting to extend the gap, 2.5 ahead of Stardog, and he's only 9/10 ahead of Hibbs. Argent sticking with the leaders at the minute, as Millington is still under pressure from Richie. Now John Goudet looks up the inside. Remy Fernie's going to try and hold it strong on the outside. They're side by side. Oh, and John Goudet taps Fernie around. Snai now gets involved as well. So John Goudet there making contact with Remy Fernie as he now gets ahead of Beck, Evsky, and Fernie drops down the order. Snai staying ahead, and Taylor going into the final few corners here, and Fernie drops all the way down to 12th place position. Notice there, Paul Williams looking to make a move around the outside of Luke Saunders, but can't quite get the job done there. Might have to lick the stamp and send it into turn number 1, and I think that is what Fernie is going to do on Taylor, but couldn't quite commit. But Stardog still being hunted down by Hibbs. Argent just dropped off the back of him. Richie still trying to hunt down Millington as best he can with a little bit of free air. What can John Goudet do? The leaders are only now going down the main straight, so the leaders are still in touch. So John Goudet, with a good strategy, could still pull off a race win here. It's got a quite a large gap, so it was 2.6 behind Richie. That's another, so one, he's got about 11 seconds to Ramsell, so if he just works his way slowly, he can work his way back up and try and get himself back into this race. So Ramsell now going down the main straight ahead of Stardog. Hibbs now setting fastest lap of the race. Argent just losing touch to the leaders now. Meanwhile, Beck is under pressure from Evski. Again, no one really close to another one to really stand an attack. Then you got this gaggle of cars. Luke Saunders holding up this lot. He's got Williams, Craig and Wolski all behind him. And here comes Wolski up the inside on Craig, and I think that will possibly be job done. Craig's going to hold it strong on the outside though, but Wolski goes around the outside and job done for him. Upper position he goes. Once again, Hibbs goes to start off briefly, but these two have actually got onto the back of Ramsell. So Ramsell just losing a little bit of time here. John Goudet takes that fastest lap back away from Hibbs. Hibbs had it momentarily, but John Goudet takes it back again, and he is already onto the back of Richie. Interesting to know what lap time John Goudet actually has done there. So 36.2, so we expect the times to ramp up and go quicker yet as the day gets warmer and the sun comes out. And John Goudet really pushing his Aston Martin at the minute. He's on the back of Richie. Meanwhile, Evski was under pressure from Beck, and I think Beck's actually lost that position to Evski. As Richie goes into turn number one, and Goudet right behind him. He's looking up the inside, not quite far enough alongside there. The top three all equally spread out at this stage. But Richie has stuck with Millington, and with that, Goudet has managed to catch this gaggle of cars. Meanwhile, Fernie is trying to get onto the back of Taylor, not quite close enough. Any other close fights at the minute? It's all kind of evenly spread out at the moment. Oh, as we see there, Smith putting a lap on Johnson. But everyone else all spread out. But it's this fight between Goudet and Richie. And John Goudet gets right under the rear wing of the Lamborghini, trying to capitalize on a good exit, good run. And I think this is where the Lambo might be in trouble. The Aston seems to have better straight line, I think, as they then head down towards turn number one. Hibbs got within 4/10 of Stardo, and this is what's helping the Aston, the straight line, and he's up the inside of Richie, and Richie can't really do anything about that. The Aston Martin through on him. Beck was on the back of Evski there, and everyone else though seems to be in a little bit of free air at the minute. No real drama further back. It looks like Tucker is having a little fight with But again, Hibbs gets a little bit closer to start off, but can't really do anything with it. Argent just 3.2 off the back of those guys as well. So he's not really lost touch of him, but he's not really gaining on them either. So a lot of work for Argent to do in the Bentley. Meanwhile, Evsky's making making a lot of moves here as Beck gets onto the back of him. As Beck tries to find a way through, looks up the inside, but can't get it done there. Very tricky session to get it right. Oh, Snipe sliding that BMW through the chicane. And as soon as Goudet has dropped Millington already under pressure from John Goudet. The pace that Aston Martin seems to have around here is quite good at the minute. So John Goudet now on a roll. He's currently P6. Like I said, just possibly lapping a lot quicker than the guys around him. Here's the man on the move. And Beck now under pressure from Snai, not quite close enough that time round. Sam Greaves onto the back of Fernie. They go into turn number 1. Once again, Limiter trying to do some damage to Tucker, but he can't get close enough at this stage. So it's still Ferrari leading the way with Ramsell in front. Then it's Stardog in second, Hibbs in third, Argent in fourth. With Goudet now getting past Millington for P5, Millington in P6, Ritchie in P7. Then it is Evsky in P8 with Beck in P9 being chased by Snai in P10. Taylor is in 11th with Fernie in 12th. Greaves in 13th with Old Sim Racer in 14th. Flores in 15th with Luke Saunders in 16th. Oh, Williams has the moment there as he sits in his 17th place position, but he's got a big gap over Wolfsky in 18th. 19th is Craig. Batbloke in 20th. Tucker in 21st. Limiter now in 22nd. That close the gap between those three. Hicks in 23rd. Smith in 24th. Best in 25th. Lane in 26th. Johnson 27th. And DJ Phil bringing up the rear. So John Goudet has now cleared Millington. His next target is Argent, so we'll see what he can do there as Evsky tries to break the toe away from Beck, and Beck's not really having anything to do with that as he gets a little bit closer to the back of him. Sam Greaves meanwhile has got Fernie right behind him. Sorry, Sam's got Fernie right in front of him as Luke Saunders and Flores flashed his lights there, possibly to Williams maybe, as Wolfsky is just ahead of him. The Limiter now onto the back of Tucker and Bablo. No real fights going on back here. The Hibbs once again, the top three have brought that gap down again to one another. So it's Ramsell from Stardog from Hibbs, Argent from Goudet from Millington now. And Millington just losing touch to Goudet as Goudet's now starting to make inroads on Argent. Evsky and Beck still going after Evsky, moving a lot under the braking zone. Fernie was getting closer to Taylor, but that fight seemed to have subsided a little bit. John Goudet within 6/10 of Argent, so that's going to hot up very soon as Beck is in the toe of Evsky, and Evsky's trying to break the toe. Bit of moving around there from Evsky, not really... not a lot of drivers seems to like that, but yeah. Down the main straight comes Fernie. He's in the toe of Taylor. He's got Sam behind him as well, but no real threat there. Wolfsky was on the back of Flores, but Flores has pulled away, so that fight has been negated a little bit. As we see there, Goudet and Argent just lapping Best. And Best trying to stay well out of the way as best he can. So, best he can. Or John Goudet looking to try and get past Argent as quickly as he possibly can. Kind of messed his lines up through there. Got a little bit hot under the collar there, I think, and just pushed a little bit too hard. As a reminder, the 35 minutes left to go of the race. That will be when the pit window opened, 25 minutes into the race. This looks to be your closest fight at the minute. Beck was attacking Eski, and now Snai is back on the attack of Beck. Oh, Beck's gone a little bit deep in the right-hander and then compromised his line through the penultimate corner, and that's going to give Snai a brilliant exit and a brilliant run down towards turn number 1. And Beck will have to go defensive straight away. Snai wants the inside as desperate as he possibly can. Probably not the best place to be, actually, is the inside. You probably want the outside for turn number 1, because that gives you then the inside for the next corner. But Snai not far enough alongside this time around, but Beck goes deep. Snai is going to be on the outside, and again, like I said, you probably want to be on the outside of 1 to then have the inside of 2. So Beck holds on to that position. Meanwhile, Goudet now pushing Argent. Pretty much. Or as we see here, Fernie's made a mistake as Old Sim Racer is now ahead of him. So Fernie's dropped behind him, and we got Saunders, Fat Bloke, and Limiter, and also Tucker in all this. Saunders goes through, so does Fernie. Oh, and somehow they all managed to get through turn number 1 without making any contact. So brilliant racing there. A little bit confusing, but they have managed to get through. And Goudet has now cleared Argent. So what can Goudet do with the leaders? There they are. And he is only now in P4, setting fastest laps by the looks of things. What is Ramsel setting at the front? Ramsel, last lap was a 36.7 and a 37.1 just then. Well, we look at Goudet's lap times. His best lap was a 35.9, a 36.9 and a 36.4. So he's in the low 36s consistently, and he is hunting down the leaders at a rapid pace. Snai and Beck going at it for round number 2. Is Snai close enough this time round? No, he is not. So Fat Bloke has dropped down the order a little bit there. He's dropped behind Tucker. So is Old Sim Racer. So Old Sim Racer with damage to his car has dropped further back. Craig seems to have pulled away from these lot. There's Luke Saunders going at it with Ramey Fernie. Unlimiter there on the exit, trying to get up the inside of him. They go alongside one another. Now the BMW should out-drag the Porsche quite easily, and it is doing so. And the limiter can't quite get up the inside, just not enough straight line pace from the Porsche. Greaves, meanwhile, is attacking Taylor. So Andrew Taylor and Sam Greaves having a great little fight at the minute, as Beck has pulled away from Snai here. So Snai's lost pace as Hibbs is now starting to try and put more pressure back on Stardog, because here comes John Goudet lapping pretty consistently. 3.8 was the gap. What is it now? It is 3.5, so 3/10 just taken out of the final sector there. In the background, Millington has now caught Argent. So Argent now just struggling at this phase of the race. Millington looking to the outside, but not able to get a good exit and a good run, and both of them get congested. Sam's just dropped off the back of Taylor, so no threat from him there. As Limiter still racing hard with Saunders.
Pit window is open.
The pit window has now opened. And who's opted to come in? That is Flores straight away for the pit lane. As will the limiter as well. I believe also, who was that? That was Wolfsky possibly. No, Fernie comes into the pits. There's the gap to the leaders, and there is Goudet. He's hunted these guys down bit by bit, and he's just within reach of them. 3.1 was the gap. Hibbs to him, it is 2.7. So Goudet is hunting the leaders down at rapid pace at the minute. Millington, meanwhile, still putting Argent under some pressure. Millington coming out of the final corner in the slipstream of Argent. As few of the guys now have gone green in pit lane, and we'll see where all this pans out. Richie has now come into the pits, hopefully trying to jump the two in front. But Millington there trying to find a move on Argent if he possibly can, but can't do so at the moment. There is your top three. Old Sim Racer says he has no words as Flores gets a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and Old Sim Racer with damage to the front end of his car. He is not happy clearly, and John Goudet slowly working his way onto the leaders. 2.3 is the gap. Ramsell has just been out of arm's reach for Stardog at this stage, possibly due to the dirty air. I think Old Sim Racer is probably going to have a lot of tickets going in. But yeah, Stardog's just not been able to bring that gap down to Ramsell. Possibly the dirty air goes a little bit deep there, and Hibbs gets a little bit interested. When these guys try and play the strategy card, Goudet's got some pace at the minute, but by the time he catches onto the back of him, he might as well get in that clean air and then jump him in the pits. It's something I would strongly be looking into doing. But right now, he's staying behind him. Evsky is there as his Beck's pulled away from Snide by quite a bit, so Snide's possibly had a mistake, and Sam on his own. All the BMWs line astern at the minute, as they've all done their pit stops further back. Hibbs now clearing Old Sim Racer there. And Goudet's now coming on to the back of Old Sim Racer. It's a bit of a snap there for John Goudet. He gets well out of the way. And DJ Phil is there as well, just as Goudet's catching this pat. 1.7 is the gap. And Hibbs putting Stardog now under some pressure. 0.2 is the gap. As we will end the poll there, majority reckon that Stardog is going to win this one, matched with Hibbs, so either one of those two. But John Goudet bringing himself back into this win. A big gap he did have in the first end, but he's slowly worked his way through the pack and up the order, and here he is chasing the leaders down. Hibbs now gets a run, has a look up the inside of Stardog. Is that the opening he needs? Stardog gives him the racing room, but all it does is holds them up, Hibbs and Stardog. And they all go into pit lane, all of them, including Ramsell. So the top four all pit at the same time. Stardog needs to get it all stopped. So does Goudet. Oh, they all come to a complete stop there. The two teammates nearly come. Argent's been hit. Argent, I think, has been hit by DJ Phil. And into the pit lane he goes. So Millington decided to stay out another lap, does Beck, and Wolski has not come into the pits yet, but Luke Saunders has gone green there. As Millington pulls away from Evsky and Beck, the top three that have not pit, and Wolski comes into the final sector as well. Will he opt to pit this lap time round? Yes, he is. So at the minute, the leading pitter is Richie. Benedict Varga in the chat. Oh, by the way, that is the 6th time in a row I'm getting denied of a top 10 finish. 9 of them were not on me. So yeah, I'm a bit frustrated. 5, not 9. Silly me. I was going to say 9 of them out of 6 time. That's there's some weird maths going on there, Benedict. But yeah, it's such a shame. Get the tickets in, and a reminder to all the Pro-Am drivers, if you do want to put a ticket in, the ticket system will be open as soon as the race is done. Limiter onto the back of Tucker. Now we've got some green cars. Ramsell comes back out in the lead. John Gooday's dropped it! All that hard work, he's dropped it out to pit lane. Hibbs goes through as the star dog, and Goudet was up ahead of him. So Goudet did end up in second place, and whatever he's done to that car, as he just lit up as he come out, I do not know, but all that hard work he'd done has just gone again. Ramsell, meanwhile, has pulled away. I'm thinking Ramsell hasn't changed tyres. Now, is that going to be his downfall here? Did Ramsell and Goudet choose not to change tyres? And as Goudet comes out of the pits, he's lit the rear up, and around it's gone, as Millington is now into the pits. As Saunders is now onto the back of Hicks. But here comes the limiter on the back of Tucker. Giving him the flashlight, Tucker goes to defend the inside. Limiter tries to make him defend. Is he going to try and get a better exit? That is the question as DJ Phil returns back on track. And Arjun, after having contact with DJ Phil, where did that put him in the end? He's just ahead of Snai and he's dropped behind Richie. So, yeah, Arjun lost out big time there. Oh, and he's gone deep, and Snai's going to make contact with him. Yes, he does. And Snai continues on through. He carries on as Arjun gets contact. Meanwhile, Evsky has to come into the pits. Either this lap or the next, and he's choosing to extend the next lap. That is a risk as Beck now comes into the pit lane. Satu looking like we're going to get a juicy fight. It looks like all the drivers have spread out a little bit, and Ramsell is still leading this race, but I don't think he's changed tyres, has Ramsell, and I think the guys behind have. Now, in saying that, these two should have a little bit more pace than Ramsell. If Ramsell can look after his tyres and keep track position, it's going to be very difficult for these guys to get past. Archer, meanwhile, has got Sam Greaves right behind him. Sam in the BMW now looking a little bit more interested in this one. Evsky is your race leader. And he is ahead of these two at this stage. We'll have to see where he feeds out after the pit stops. As Beck has gone green, he is slowly working his way down possibly the most annoying pit lane on the calendar. Well, the fight's going on. The limiter has got past Tucker, so not sure what happened there, because Tucker has dropped behind Hicks and Saunders. I think they got right behind them as well. I think that is possibly Best behind them also. So they're all quite congested to one another. Is Saunders looking to go and make up the insides of Hicks? Oh, contact made there. Hicks turns in, Saunders up the inside, and contact was made. Now Craig is now back onto... No, not Craig, Tucker is now onto the back of Saunders. A bit of pushing and shoving between the Ferrari and the BMW. As Evsky finally pits, and as long as he got into pit lane, which he did, the pit window has now closed. But Ramsell, meanwhile, the gap has come down to 2.6, so I think his tyre gamble is not going to pay off here. the 5 seconds that Hibbs and Stardog have lost, they're gaining back rapidly at this stage. With 25 and a half minutes left to go, Ramsell, I think, is going to be under a lot of pressure towards the end of this race. Now through the middle of the first sector they go, clearing the traffic. Saunders once again onto the back of Hicks. Hicks got a little bit of damage to the rear end of that Ferrari. Saunders trying to bring that gap down as best he possibly can. Waiting for that prime opportunity to slither his way up the inside. And there we go, outside goes Saunders. Is that enough? No, Hicks keeps it defending on the inside. So once again, Saunders trying to go the long way round. He can't do so at the minute. He looks left, he's looking right. He's going to look around the outside of the final corner. No, but he might be able to use the BMW grunt down the main straight and attack him into turn number 1. Try and be a lot stronger on the brakes. He's going to head down, and he's already got the job done. Hicks already losing out there, so possibly so much damage to that Ferrari. He had no answer to the BMW. Now Tucker is going to be wanting to hunt down Hicks as quick as he can. Meanwhile, the gap to the leaders has come down. Ramsell is ahead of Hibbs. Stardog just behind them. And Goudet trying to work his way onto the back of him. So at the minute, Robert Ramsell just trying to hang in there. I think he's not changed tyres, and with that Hibbs has as a Stardog, and they're hunting them down. Meanwhile, Beck is trying to put Snai under some pressure here, as that is old sim racer. Try and stay out of the way. He's been in all sorts of trouble here tonight, and really struggling with the racing, I think, tonight. It's been very, very argy-bargy here at Indianapolis. But Hibbs now looking very interested on the back of the leader. Robert Ramsell now wanting to defend and hold on to the lead for as long as he possibly can, and chops the nose off of Hibbs there. Stardog just drops off the back a little bit, and Goudet just needs to stick with Stardog and go with him to try and catch the two in front and make it a four-way fight. But at the minute, Ramsell looking like he has to defend because Hibbs is going up the inside. Hibbs versus Ramsell, I think it's already job done to make contact. Ramsell's got to be strong on the outside. He'll have the inside for the next corner. Yes, he will. When Hibbs understeers wide, onto the marbles he goes, and time is lost. He's still up the inside. Ramsell gives him the space. Hibbs is going to look up the inside, and contact made. Stardog benefits from it, as will John Goudet. Has Ramsell, as Hibbs is waiting for him, but he's waiting for a clean opportunity to get going. Yes, he has. There's Hibbs. He's given up the race win to wait for Ramsell. Has Ramsell got going? Yes, he has, but he drops behind Evsky, and Ramsell is not going to be happy about that one. Race win gone with a slight contact there from Hibbs. So it's now Stardog leading the way ahead of Goudet, ahead of Ritchie now, and Millington now up in the P4. Hibbs allowing Evsky through so he can eventually allow Ramsell through. And a flash of lights, I think that's for him to apologise to Ramsell and say, look mate, that was my fault and I apologise, as Beck is now onto the rear end of Snai. And Snai bouncing over the curb there. He's trying to extend the gap to Beck, as Beck is really looking interested at the minute. And Beck goes a little bit deep there. Oh, and Sny goes a bit wide there. That gives Beck another opportunity to try and get a good run and a good exit out of the final corner. Paige and Chastain, you might want to answer your phone, Robert. He got hung up to dry there, I think. Fair play to Hibbs, but it didn't look like his fault. Should have kept going. So Peaceful thinks otherwise. But Ramsdell, meanwhile, has now dropped behind Hibbs, and Hibbs gets through. Can Hibbs do anything about the leading group? So Stardog now going into the left-hander, and Goudet just ahead of him. So possible for Ramsdell if he's still got, Hibbs, if he's still got some tyre left, I reckon he could get up to Ritchie if he gets his head down and works his way forward. But it depends how easy he's able to clear the traffic. We started this race in the darkness. We have now got the sun out. We've got daylight here, as already Hibbs is on the back of Efsky. Beck is still trying to find a way past Sny, and Smith is ahead of Fat Bloke, and Fat Bloke just sticking to the back of him at the minute. So there's a real fight at the moment. But going into the last 18 minutes of this race, the order looks like this. It is Stardog leading the way ahead of John Goudet in second, Ritchie in third, with Millington in fourth, Efsky in, well, he was in fifth, but he's already been passed by Hibbs. So Hibbs up into fifth, Efsky in sixth, and Ramsdell in seventh, Sny in eighth, being hunted down by Beck. Argent in 10th ahead of Greaves, Taylor in 12th, with Williams in 13th. Wolfski sat in 14th with Craig in 15th. The Limiter sat in 16th ahead of Saunders in 17th. Hicks in 18th with Tucker in 19th. Smith just behind him in 20th with Fat Bloke in 21st. 22nd is Ramey Fernie. Old Sim Racer 23rd. Flores in 24th. Johnson 25th. Best in 26th. Lane in 27th. And DJ Phil are bringing up the rear. And we've lost a Benedict Varga earlier on due to internet issues. We'll go back on this fight between Sny and Beck. And Beck trying everything he possibly can to find a way through the BMW, but can't do so at the minute. Just being patient on the thrower here, Beck just waiting for that BMW to make a mistake. A little bit of understeer there from the McLaren. And you see there the BMW able to put away, get good traction. Meanwhile, Tucker under pressure here from Smith, as Fat Bloke's right there with them. Not able to do anything at the minute. Smith looked for an opportunity there in the Mustang, but not able to do anything with that threat. Oh, Tucker goes a bit deep. That's going to give Smith an opportunity. Well, all three of them go a little bit deep, but make the late apex to the next corner. Hibbs goes a bit wide. Smith goes wide with him, and Fat Bloke's just tries it with him. Meanwhile, John Goudet has brought the lead down to Stardog by 1.1. So John Goudet has come back alive in this race. But we're watching this fight between these three. And Smith versus Fat Bloke versus Tucker. And Tucker so far still hanging in there, as Smith is now under pressure from Fat Bloke. Is Fat Bloke going to look to the inside of the right-hander? No, he's not. But there in the background is your leaders. 1 second, you can see the gap between Stardog and Goudet has come down. And they've now caught up. This trio fighting hard, and Sny hits the curb. Beck avoids him. Beck has got through, job done, and Argent not able to capitalise on Sny's mistake. But there is your leaders. That is the gap. It is 1 second. As they cross the line, it is 1.1. So Stardog gains a little bit. Meanwhile, Smith looking up the inside of Tucker. Thinks better of it. And Fat Bloke's now going to join him around the outside. Fat Bloke will try and get the job done. They just about give each other racing room, and Fat Bloke stays to the outside. They get close, but Blue Flags is coming to intervene now because Stardog's onto the back of him and Stardog's being held up. John Goudet's there and Smith gets out the way brilliantly there, hits the brakes, and Goudet goes through as well. So Smith brilliantly stays out of the way. Now it's Fat Bloke has to now get out of the way, and all this is doing is holding up Stardog, because every time Stardog clears a car, John Goudet goes with him. So Fat Bloke needs to get out of the way of the leading group, as Argent has got onto the back of Sny, as well as Sny has pulled a little bit of a gap ever so slightly. Sam's creeping onto the back of him as well. This is the fight for your lead, and Fat Bloke finally gets out of the way. And Goudet now in a very strong position to try and take the win of this race. He goes a little bit deep to Stardog. That possibly gives the opportunity to John Goudet. He needs to get a good exit and a good run. The Aston Martin has been so mighty in this final sector. He's going to run a little bit wide, but he's going to be in the slipstream. He's going to be in the tow. Meanwhile, Remy Fernie has caught onto the back of Smith, so that's a possible move happening in the background, and John Goudet thinks about it, but not close enough. Meanwhile, Remy Fernie is going to go up the inside of Smith and get that job done. Hibbs, meanwhile, has not been able to catch Millington. Millington staying in that solid P4 as Richie trying to catch the leaders, but Stardog and Goudet going at it tooth and nail. 2 tenths are separating them, but they've still got a clear cars as Tucker goes deep. Is he going to split these two? He's going to get, yes, I think he is. He's going to be right in the middle of them. And John Goudet goes up the inside of Tucker, but compromises his line. Meanwhile, Ramsel still trying to fight Evsky, but Evsky has pulled away there. Argent is now onto the back of Sny. And Argent not able to do anything about the BMW. Meanwhile, Old Sim Racer is back in the pits for some reason. And Sny under pressure here from Kieran Argent. BMW versus Bentley. Can the Bentley find a way through? Sam has just dropped off the back of these guys. Meanwhile, Stardog has made a bit of a gap since they made it into the tricky back marker section, and has pulled away ever so slightly from the Aston Martin. The second is the gap. What is it now? 1.4, so he has pulled away significantly there. Richie, meanwhile, in the background, has been slowly creeping his way onto the back of him. Meanwhile, Fat Bloke looking up the inside of Tucker, and Fernie's now with him. So Remy Fernie has joined this squabble, and Argent has got up the inside of Sny there. A job done for him out of the final corner. So now Sam Greaves is on the attack of his fellow BMW driver. And Sny here just looking like he's under a bit of pressure from a few cars at this stage. So the two McDonald's livery cars are on the attack. And there is the other one, Fat Bloke attacking Tucker, looking to go around the outside. He ain't going to get the job done there, and all that's going to do is offer the opportunity for Remy Fernie to come through. But again, it's quite a tricky section. Meanwhile, Richie is behind all these guys, and he is trying to clear them as best he can, and that's his own teammate in the way. So at the minute, his teammate currently holding him up. He's trying to catch the leaders who have been fighting, but he's stuck in this mid-pack fight between Tucker, Fat Bloke and Fernie, and Richie just can't find a way through at the minute. They're all too busy racing one another. Stardog, meanwhile, 1.2 is the gap to the leaders. Is Richie finally going to get past his teammate? Up the inside goes Fat Bloke. Has he got a little bit too deep? Yes, he has. He's going to miss the corner. Tucker goes through, as will Richie. And I think Fernie tried to. Yes, he is. So Fernie's up the inside. So he's used his teammate to gain a position there. And Remy Fernie goes ahead of Fat Bloke now, as Richie now gets onto the back of Tucker. As Tucker trying to do something to keep the guys behind them away. Got less than 9 minutes left of this race. Tucker trying to stay out of the Richie Corsa way. And through goes Fernie again, using his teammate to capitalise and get through. And through goes Fernie. Fat Bloke, on the other hand, is stuck behind him. First behind him then is a Millington. Hibbs not been able to attack him since the contact with Ramsel. Oh, Ramsel and Evsky come close together. And once again, Snai is under pressure from Greaves. Any other fights going up and down the order? Obviously the Tucker Fat Bloke fight is still going on. The gap to the leaders 1.3. John just at the minute only able to match him. To turn one goes Tucker and Fat Bloke. Fat Bloke can't find a way through. And Millington now wanting to lap him. Oh, Millington a bit desperate there, trying to lap Fat Bloke. Oh, and he just swipes his nose there. And Fat Bloke is now under pressure from Smith. And Millington's now gone deep. So Millington making a silly error there as Stardog's made a mistake. John Goudet leads this race. So either Stardog has made a mistake or John Goudet is now leading this race. Now as he had contact with Remy Fernie earlier on. If Remy Fernie puts that in, he needs to build a gap as soon as he possibly can. Meanwhile, Evsky is still under pressure from Ramsel. But John Goudet leads this race. Snai still ahead of Sam Goose in a minute and just struggling to keep ahead of him. Best is pitted against Smith, is now attacking Fat Bloke. So Best into the pits. But John Goudet now leads this race ahead of Stardog. 8/10 is the gap. I think John Goudet needs to possibly give himself a 5-second buffer, because obviously he had that contact with Remy Fernie earlier on. If anything does go in, a 5-second buffer will always help him out. But he needs to build that gap as best he possibly can, just to keep himself secure in that lead. Evsky, meanwhile, trying to defend the inside from Ramsel. And Beck has been slowly creeping onto him. Well, Ramsel goes a bit deep into turn number one. But nonetheless, John Goudet has definitely had the pace here tonight. He's been absolutely mighty in that Aston Martin. Race 1 did not go to plan, but race 2 again still didn't really go to plan. But he has managed to work his way up the order. And Smith now just losing touch with Fat Bloke now, as Fat Bloke pulls away. Hibbs trying to catch onto the back of Millington, but I don't think that's going to happen. This is your closest fight on track at the minute. No, it's not, because Stardog has caught back up to Goudet once again. But nonetheless, it has been a fantastic night's worth of racing and brilliant to watch, as I will get a poll going for driver of the day. But guys, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell so you get notified every time we are live. Also, while you're at it, have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and also Audio Sport as well. And make sure you tune in tomorrow night as the pros will be hitting the circuit. As they will be tackling the circuit Indianapolis. As I put a poll out for driver of the day, guys, get your votes in on who you think driver of the day is. And so now work their way into the final few laps here. That gap starting to expand as Ramsell once again gets close to the back of Evsky, and Beck is getting closer. Greaves is also looking to try and put Snai under pressure. So Evsky now under pressure here from Beck. So Beck is now the one on the attack. They're now coming into the final sector. Argent just outside this fight. If anything happens between these three, he'll still be in this one. This is fighting for 6th, 7th and 8th, possibly 9th, depending on how things go. Snai and Greaves in the background fighting themselves. More fights happening further down. There is Smith still attacking Fatblow. So Fatblow, both of these two, sorry, have got ahead of Tucker. Tucker's ended up behind him, and Ramey Fernie's gone off as well. So both of them making a mistake after Ramey Fernie using the strategy of using his teammate to clear these cars. They've dropped it, they've made a mistake, and Fatblow gets past a lot of them. Ramsell lost touch now to Evsky. He's got Beck breathing down his neck instead. So the McLaren driver coming back at him. 26 currently watching, guys. Hit that like button, let's get as many likes as we possibly can on this channel, and get as many votes in on the chat as well. Don't cost you nothing. You just vote for who you think was driver of the day, and the driver will take that for bragging rights, just as they did Formula 1. And it looks like Beck here has got a good run on Ramsell. Ramsell's tyres, I think, are shot and done, as he's just struggling here. I saw just Evsky then just disappear momentarily. And that's a bit of a worry. Either that was me or somebody else. But, oh, Smith, I think, has lost out to Fernie. Fernie's now getting another position. So it's all happening right at the very end here. Ramsell, meanwhile, has lost out. Just started come away. Beck gets ahead. Now Argent's onto the back of Ramsell. Oh, Beck's gone off. Beck's made a mistake. He went too deep. He made the job done, but he went in too deep, and Ramsell gets that position back. John Goudet, meanwhile, going through the first couple of corners here. I think he's on one more lap to go, including the one he's on at the moment. Meanwhile, Tucker looking to make a move on Smith. Smith's gone deep, and off he goes, as Fatblow pulled away from Ramey Fernie. Greaves still being attacking Snai for a while now, as Beck made that mistake after gaining so much time on Ramsell. He made the silly error, and now he is lost out here. But through the S's they go. John Goudet, though, coming into the final sector. What is the gap? It is 1.1. What is it to Richie? 1.1 is the gap between him and Stardog. Richie 7.6, so he's dropped right off the pace here. But John Goudet coming through the final few corners now. Are we going to get another lap? I think we are. He cannot afford to slow down. So John Goudet has to complete another lap, and Stardog has caught him back up again. 7:10 we go into this final lap. Meanwhile, Ramsell is back under pressure from Beck. Argent's just completely dropped off the back of these two. But it is your fight between the top two. But it is going to be John Goudet, I think. He just needs to hang in there, keep it facing the right way. That's all he needs to do. Everywhere else looks pretty stable. Fernie trying to pull away from Fablo towards the end of this race. But we look to your leader, Stardog, trying to do everything he possibly can to try and win this on the road. But I think he's going to fail to do so. Into the S's they come. A little bit of traffic, but Lane gets right out of the way. Stardog goes through as well. And there's Limiter with damage to the back end of his car. As he's been trying to hunt down Craig, but I don't think he's going to get close enough. Meanwhile, Ramsell under pressure from Beck again, and Sam Greaves getting closer to Snai. But we go back to your race leader. He's at the pace, he's looked strong, he's looked quick in the Aston Martin. Possible penalty hanging over his head. But either way, John Goudet on the road, winning here in Indianapolis. He wins here for the third round of the championship. Third feature race goes to him. Stardog finishing in a solid P2. P3 going the way of Richie with a solid nice worth of points for him. Millington in fourth, just catching him at the very end there. Hibbs, possible race win on the cards, but making contact with Ramsell drops him down to fifth. And Evsky still under pressure here. He's got Ramsell, he's got Beck. They're hunting him down. Evsky runs wide, Ramsell runs wide, but it's going to be Evsky just ahead of Ramsell. So yeah, Evsky ahead of Ramsell. Beck, then Argent. Snai crosses the line in 10th. Sangreaves losing out to Snai there, made a mistake possibly, I'm not sure, but he is going to finish an 11th place position. Taylor is going to finish in 13th. Where is Williams? There he is coming out of the final corner now. He is going to finish in 14th place position. Wolfsky is going to finish in 14th. And Craig rounding off the top 15 as he comes into the final sector now. Limiter in 16th, 17th was Saunders, 18th was Hicks, Fernie's 19th, Fat Bloke in 20th, Tucker in 21st, Smith 22nd, Johnson 23rd, Lane 24th, DJ Phil 25th, and 26th was Best. But John Goudet is your race winner for that one. I am going to try something a little different tonight, hoping that this will work. So we'll see if I can get a chat with the well, we'll try it with John, I think. So let's see if this works. So just give me a few moments here, guys, as I will end up just swapping chat a minute and just swapping to see if this is going to work. So just give me a few moments, guys.
Green light. Go, go, go.
I'm trying to do it through the actual PC itself, but I don't know how well this is going to go, so I am trying my very best here, guys. making it up as I go along. But yeah. I think what we'll do. We'll end up just doing it in the comms box. I think that's just going to be the easiest way around. I think this one. So, John, if you can hear me, head into the PlayStation 1, because I think that's going to be the easiest way to do this. Yeah, John, if you just briefly say about your race a minute, so I can see if we can hear you. But race 2, race win.
Yeah, it was hard work though. Stardog kind of made it a bit harder for me. I was just waiting for him to do a mistake. Obviously, the mistake happened with the back marker.
We're gonna have to go. Yeah. We're gonna have to go into party chat. I'm afraid you're too quiet. So we'll go in there a minute. We'll be back a few moment times, guys. Right. Okay. So we should be back in the comms box, and obviously John Goudet will join us momentarily. As John will join us, I will give you a rundown of what the championship standings looks like regarding the Pro-Ams. Hibbs leads the way ahead of Snai in second place, Richie still in P3, and John Goudet moving up to P4, Ramsell P5, Stardog P6, Millington in P7 with Greaves in P8, Beck in P9, Taylor in P10, 11th is Argent, 12th is the Limiter, Epsky in 13th, Williams in 14th, Fat Bloke in 15th, Fernie in 16th, Betterson 17th, 18th is Tucker, Flemspeed in 19th, and Wolfsky in 20th position. Starrock in 21st, and just give me 2 seconds. So Evsky in 20th, Starrock in 21st, Saunders in 22nd, Hicks in 23rd, Old Sim Racer in 24th, Johnson 25th, Flores in 26th, Smith in 27th, DJ Phil 28th, Varga in 29th, Craig in 30th, Best 31st, and Cranky Duckhead in 32nd, Lane in 33rd. Regarding the Teams Championship, Greasy Bandits Racing extend their gap over Cam Racing. 54 points separate those two, as Richie Corsa drops back 106 points to the leaders. Fat Bloke in P4, with P5 going the way of Stage 2 Motorsport, Simplay Racing P6. 7th is Mad Dog Motorsport, as P8 is FSO Racing Team. P9 is Roadrunners Motors. P10 is Team Merlot. P11 is Team Tom. Cloud9 is in P12 Racing. 13th is Quantum Motorsport. 14th is RB GT Team. And Marlboro's Racing in 15th, with TRC Audio Sport in 16th. Now, we have got John Goudet with me in the chat. If any of the other guys in the sprint race did end up on the podium and want to join me in the comments box, they're more than welcome to do so. But John, obviously myself and you had a quick chat before we even went racing tonight, and the practice session and the service sessions you've been in with the pro pace, you've been practicing with the pro drivers. Seemed like it paid off tonight in the feature race. You had the pace, you had the strength, and race win to your name.
Yeah, it's a big grid though, do you know what I mean? Especially the first race. Getting caught up in all the traffic at the beginning, which I kind of knew was going to happen, but yeah, I was happy that I got 2 purple laps, so...
A more patient John in this race. I mean, obviously, let's talk about what happened out pit exit, because you seem to have the jump on the rest of them, and when we look to you, next thing you know, you're in the grass. What's happened?
So, it's coming out the pits, for some weird reason it turned the TC off. So I've hit the accelerator, bounced off on the marbles, and then just spun me round. I had to nail the pit stop. Managed to kind of do it. I was hoping I was going to get the jump on Rob, but he just nailed his pit stop. To be fair, took a bold move of not changing the changing tyres as well. But yeah, I think I've done the right decision. To be fair.
So you opted not to change tyres. Looked like Hibbs and I think also did Stardog. Do you think that what helps the Aston Martin? It seems to be a lot kinder to its tyres than a lot of the other cars.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of both. I know if I try and just keep onto the pack at the beginning half of the races, or the beginning part of the race, and save the tyres, it kind of helps out a little bit. But yeah, it's such a good car. I said this to you guys last season, didn't I? How much I missed it. Yes, it's quite a boring car to drive, but it's so safe, mate. It really is.
At the end of the day, it can't be that boring if you're winning races in it.
Exactly,
Obviously,
yeah.
me and Matt are going to have to put our foot in our mouth saying that you were quicker in the Mercedes than you were in this, and clearly we're wrong. But talk about your season in general. It's been a difficult one to start off. Brands didn't quite go the way. Then Spa was kind of hectic, and then we come here to Indianapolis. And whenever we have done Indianapolis, you've always been competitive here. It's always American circuits, isn't it? With me, with British circuits, American circuits, you seem to be hooked up. What is it about them?
I don't know. I generally still hate this track. It has no rhythm to it, in my eyes. I mean, some people might say different, but yeah, I don't know what it is about the American track. Same with COTA. I'm the same with COTA, and I hate that track, but for some reason I do well there. So, I don't know.
Well, once wise driver said, if you hate a load of circuits, you tend to do quite well at them. And let's just say I just hate British circuits. So we leave Indianapolis. We go to everyone's favourite circuit next. We're heading down under to Bathurst Mount Panorama. Leaving the Mercedes, going in the Aston, a little bit more stable car. How do you think you're going to get on there?
So, obviously, I've done some testing around Mount Panorama in this, and it's a bogey track for me. Sometimes I'll do well, and then sometimes I won't. But yeah, I think it goes on trying to stay out of trouble again. If I can stay out of trouble, I think, and get to the front end of the grid, I think it'll be just not plain sailing, but I can get my head down and just focus on the race then. The one thing I do struggle with is being in the pack and trying to judge what's the word to say? I don't want to be really bad with saying it, but the back end of the grid, it's trying to judge when they're braking, especially when you're coming down Bathurst.
I know what you mean.
Coming down that S-bendy bit. So it's just trying to judge when they're braking and when they're accelerating. I near enough got caught out a couple of times today with the slow out the corners from some of the drivers.
Just judging everyone's level of driving.
Yeah, exactly. But to be fair, I'm slowly getting used to it. It doesn't help, obviously, when we get new drivers in the league, because then it unwinds everything that you're trying to learn.
Tell me about it.
But yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I'm literally going on every race, just not really expecting the highest amount from me, and just pick up what I can. I think that's kind of helping me quite a lot at the minute, so not putting too much pressure on myself. So
obviously there is the possible contact with you and Fernie that did happen. There may be a penalty over your head. It depends if it gets put in or not. But how confident are you that that was not your fault?
Well, in my I'm going to go and have a look at it. But we were going around the S-bends, and it was just door to door, like little bit of bumping on the doors. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I kind of got a little bit wiggly on the curb, or if like it was just a normal door tap and then he's just obviously come round in front of me. I don't know. I can't comment on it until I look back on it. If it is obviously like my fault, then I'll hold my hands up to it. But yeah, obviously forget about that and then head on to next week and try and pick up what I can there. So.
Well, nonetheless, mate, congratulations on the win. And 8 votes have been put in for Driver of the Day, and you've won that one as well. So congratulations on that
Thank
one
you.
as well.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
And that is it for Indianapolis. We now look forward to Bathurst Mount Panorama for the Pro-Ams. I am hoping and praying that Lexia finally got her internet sorted, so you can hear somebody other than me for a different night. But surely we'll hopefully get her in the comms box for next time out. But nonetheless, it has been fantastic to watch all the Pro-Am boys this evening. Like I said, we move on to Bathurst for them. But more importantly, for the pros, it's their attempt tomorrow night as they head towards Indianapolis. Last morning race for these guys, and can the MSA boys continue up their winning streak, absolutely destroying the pros at the minute. But Tordok, at the minute, declined to enter, so he may not be around. So we'll see what happens. Can anyone from the pros stop the MSA boys? That is the question. Make sure you join Kelly Davis and Matthew Duff and Sweet and Sticky in your box to give you all of the drama that comes your way for the pros. Also, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at Simply Motorsport. And have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester, Audio Sports, and all those wonderful things. Head over to the Sim Grid if you want to be a part of the action here at Simplay. I've been Dan Davis, this has been Indianapolis, and the Pro-Ams are done and dusted. They head down under for the next round of the championship. We shall see you in Australia. Good night.